homeschooling gave us a lifestyle where we live a life around family. And I just think that, when you're looking at different options for educating your children, there is not going to be a system that lets you put your kids as the center of the education, because it's not about our limitations. My husband and I have so many limitations, but it was about our kids' potential. So we focus on their potential.
Hi, welcome to the Zan Tyler podcast. This podcast is brought to you by BJU Press Homeschool. Homeschooling is an exciting adventure we take with our children. One of the most challenging parts of this journey is choosing the curriculum you want to use. BJU Press Homeschool is a curriculum you can trust. All the books, resources, and videos have been designed with you and your child in mind. Their curriculum is educationally robust and rich, taking into account that children have different learning styles, strengths, and needs. Mom, you are in charge. BJU Press Homeschool is here to come alongside and support you. Do you need help with the teaching load, or is there a subject you just don't want to teach? Their amazing video courses are available for all grades and almost every subject. BJU Press Homeschool believes that homeschooling can produce a new generation of students who know God, love their neighbors, and stand firm in their faith. For more information, go to bjupresshomeschool.com. That's bjupresshomeschool.com. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Zan Tyler podcast, where our goal is to help you thrive in your homeschool journey. Let me take just a minute to ask you to please subscribe to this podcast wherever you listen or watch, including YouTube. And if this podcast has been encouraging to you, please leave us a 5-star review. Each review really helps us and helps other families like you connect to the podcast. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We post a lot of content there. Well, I am so excited to welcome my dear friend Karim Morato to the podcast today. She is a ball of energy, and you are going to love her. Karim is originally from Guatemala. She and her husband have homeschooled their 3 children since 2008, 2 of whom were in college. Karim is the director of Hispanic Outreach for Homeschool Legal Defense Association, and she upholds Hispanic leaders who support homeschooling, as well as Hispanic parents who wish to educate their children at home. She has her master's degree in curriculum and instruction from George Mason University and is a certified Spanish teacher with 18 years of experience. Karim is passionate about family life, cultures, and programs that advance higher education. Karim, thank you so much for being here today, and welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
I know you're getting ready for a big trip to Puerto Rico to help the Hispanic community there and the homeschooling community there, and I'm so thankful. Joe and I are so thankful to be a part of that.
I'm so excited about that. I knew from the moment that we were planning the trip that you guys needed to be in this trip.
Well, I'm so thrilled about it. You and I have a history of working together, and
Yes.
we'll talk about that in just a minute. We have worked on a Hispanic summit together at BJU Press Homeschool, who is the sponsor of my podcast. Thank you so much.
And you guys are wonderful. Thank you so much for believing in this mission and jumping into, okay, we don't understand what we're doing, but we believe there is something good.
That's right. That's right. Hey, Karim, before we talk about Puerto Rico, I just want you to tell us where you're from originally and how you got to the States and how you got into homeschooling. Short topic.
Okay. All right. So, okay, I will try to keep it short. Now, you're asking me to say this in my bilingual mind, so it's going to take longer than you
No
think.
problem. Thank you.
Well, I am originally from Guatemala, so I am Chapina, like they call us. And I came to this country when I was 18. So I worked my way into, getting my own education, getting my bachelor's, then getting my master's, becoming a teacher. And then in the middle, finding my husband. Well, he found me. Let's put it that way.
Okay, so real quick, let me ask you this. Were you bilingual when you came here?
No,
Oh, my
I could not even say hola. I could not. Literally, I had no idea. I was kind of lazy. Well, I don't know if I was lazy. I just didn't have the vision to learn English in high school. And then suddenly we decided to come. And then here I was, it's like, I don't understand anything. So I was learning. I remember my first English lessons were with 80-year-old people. Like, like, and they could not understand me. I could not understand them. It's like, okay, something has to change here. So it was just interesting how I learned English, and it was not technology. It was
Right, right.
in the 90s. So I find myself, getting married, having kids, and education is very important for Hispanic families. And I told my husband, I want our kids to have the best education, and we're gonna pay for private school. And I don't know how we're gonna do it. And then my husband came and just dropped the bomb. What about if we homeschooling? I was like, what is that? I could not even understand what he's saying. It's like, I don't know. This is what North Americans do when they go as a missionaries to Bolivia, and they do it. And I was like, no, you are completely crazy.
So he
Education.
was Bolivian.
He was Bolivian.
And so he had seen missionaries who homeschooled, which is how he was introduced to it.
Yes.
Okay, okay.
And he saw that it worked. But, I don't know exactly how he witnessed that. But
That's so amazing.
yes, yes, by example, and then I say, well, listen, I'm gonna do my research. I'm going to go to one of those conferences. So I went to HAV
Oh,
when we
you went
didn't
to
have
a good
kids.
one.
Yes, and I went as an investigator to find the flaws. I have
Right,
to
right.
confess. And then my husband and I went into this conference, and then we saw these families shopping for curriculum, and I went to the workshops and I challenged the speakers. Like, I was really trying to find the flaw in the system. And then the more I did my research and compare private school, public school, and I was in one of the best districts in the United States when it comes to public school, and I was a public school teacher. So, my husband really touched a nerve, but I'm glad he did it, because after doing 5 years of research, I came to the conclusion, yes, this is the best way to go. And we decided to homeschool before our kids were born. When they came to the world, we already had a library. I already picked the curriculum.
Okay, so wait a minute. I gotta back up here. How did you go from this negative investigator to saying, "Okay, we're homeschooling"?
Well, because I met the authors of the curriculums. I was an educator, so I went there and I was looking into all the different methodologies, classical, the unschooling, and all the curriculum. So for me, it's like, if homeschooling works, I need to know how we're going to teach our kids, how our kids are gonna learn. So I was not looking into the other positive aspects of homeschooling. I was just focusing on education. How am I gonna educate my children? How I make sure my kids are gonna go to college? And we are first generation immigrants, and I know the whole world was going to be against us, because I was like, English is my second language, and not just the world, even ourselves were going to feel like we were not fit to homeschool. So I spoke to experts. I spoke to speakers like you that go and speak. I think this is why it's so important, the work you do, because you go and speak, and when you speak, you transform people's mind. My mind was closed to homeschooling, but when I was listening, when I was witnessing families learning together, and parents really involved, and the kids involved in their education, because when you go to a conference, you see not just the parents shopping, you see the children shopping.
Yes, that's right. You see this total family engagement.
Yes,
Yes.
and to me, coming from a Hispanic country where you believe that education comes from the government, and they have the rights to educate your kids, no, it's not a parental right. It was a mind shift, uh, for me, kind of situation. And this is why became so passionate about this, because at the beginning, I have no idea how to do it. I have the curriculum, but you can have the best curriculum, and then you apply it on your kids, and things fall apart. So
Yes, that's right. That's right.
I went through all of that, and when I wanted to quit, my husband always will say, "No, they will not get the education that they're getting, and in another place, they wanna go with 30 more kids or 25 more kids, and all the money that we're spending in private education, we can put it back in them. Like it's an investment. So he was my biggest, cheerleader. You're gonna get to know him. And he knew I was a really tough person to change their mind. So he knew how to talk to me, how to walk with me through this process. He was a very hands-on dad. He was always there early. He had a job. Always had a job where get up 4 o'clock in the morning. He started working at 5 o'clock in the morning, so he could be in the afternoons with us.
Wow.
So we really homeschooling gave us a lifestyle where we uh, live a life around family. And I just think that when you're looking at different options for educating your children, there is not going to be a system that lets you put your kids as the center of the education, because it's not about our limitations. My husband and I have so many limitations, but it was about our kids' potential. So we focus on their potential.
Okay, so let me ask you this, and then we're going to talk about Puerto Rico.
Yes.
You come to a new country, English is your second language. And did you ever, once you started homeschooling, did you have people ask you or question you, how will your kids learn the culture and how will they learn the language if they're not in a school classroom?
You mean this culture? It was interesting. Yes, I had those. It was always an indirect questioning. First of all, how you're homeschooling if English is your second language?
Yeah.
So people question that.
Yeah, yeah.
In our family, we're like horrified how the kids are gonna socialize. And I always feel like, if the kids, and I understood really quick, if the kids knew how to interact with us, the parents, right? Because there was a part of me and my husband that we had to grow ourselves. Parents can't just homeschool and think we are the heroes, we are the experts, we know everything. No. So we took a very humble path where my husband and I knew we have limitations, we work on ourselves, we try to expose ourselves to the best. So, but this is one thing. When you know the truth, it doesn't matter what people say to you. When you know your truth, and then the second part is you know the truth, and then you know your priorities and you know your why. So my husband and I knew our why 100%. So when people would question our why, we were like, it's just as long as my
Yes,
husband
yes.
and I are in agreement. And I think that's a challenge that you may have in some houses where the spouse is not 100% on board. But I feel like agreement, unity at home will impact how you operate. So I learned that you explain things to children, not necessarily you have to explain things to adults. So I did not waste my energy explaining a lot. Because I didn't have any energy left. At the end of the day, I was tired. My husband and I had to work, but we both had to work to, be able to have this lifestyle where we could homeschool. And so we really didn't have any time or energy or space to explain our why and just live and show with example. Now, the interesting part came when our kids were not little anymore and they were able to be themselves, show who they were, take decisions after high school and do the things that they do. And then, it's not anymore us saying why, it's more like people seeing the fruit of your labor and,
Absolutely.
and
Yes.
people saying, oh, wow, this looks amazing. How did you do it? So that has allowed me to become an ambassador of homeschooling freedom, because, we are not just doing it. We have seen the fruit and we have tasted and we see our children thriving, and we were right. It's not about us. It's about their potential and how we invest in them.
Okay, your title is Hispanic Outreach
I
Consultant?
am the Hispanic outreach coordinator for
Okay.
SLEA.
Okay, so how did you go from being a homeschool mom to doing that as well?
I have always worked with my husband with the Hispanic community. So we work for 30 years. We were in our community where with Hispanics, and we always work with couples, work with families. So we always understood the need when you leave your country, when you leave with everything behind, and you start new in a new country. And there are challenges because parents don't have sometimes the space to think about their kids' education because they have to work and they have to navigate so many different things. And sometimes they don't know the language, so they don't understand what's happening with their
Yes.
kids.
Yes.
So um, for me, I understood the need, right? But I never really imagined that one day God was going to say, "Well, you are an educator, you homeschool your kids, you understand the culture, and you understand the culture here in the United States, but also you understand what happens outside the United States, and I want to use that." So this is where I believe God called me and connect me with HSLDA, which I didn't know what HSLDA was, by the way. And I
Right,
went
right.
so many times in front of the booth. If you go to a conference, make sure you stop by HSLDA booth and know what we do. We advocate for homeschool freedom. But at that time, when I started connecting with them, and they saw what I was doing on my own, and how navigated the homeschooling world, and how I connected with leaders, they came to me and say, "We need you, especially after the pandemic. Please come and help us reach the Hispanic community." And at the beginning, I was like Jonah. It's like, "No, you don't know what is to work with Hispanic. I want to work with people like me." So I kind of say no. I think my husband kept saying, really keep coming to you. You should consider and pray about it. And I was like, okay, let me pray. And when I pray, God say, do it.
Oh my goodness. So you had a double whammy or
Yes,
triple whammy from HSLDA, your husband, and God. That's
yes,
hard to argue with.
yes,
So, all right, for those of you who don't know, HSLDA is Homeschool Legal Defense Association, and it's one of the largest, if not the largest, homeschooling organization in the world in terms of protecting homeschool freedom and just reaching out and taking care of the homeschooling community.
yes, yes. And it was beautiful when they came to me and say, we always say to people, please come, welcome. We have a space for you. But when you're navigating cultures, you sometimes extending an invitation is not enough. You have to go and to their homes, knock at the door, and sit at the table. So, and then you extend that relationship. So for some reason, I just have this way through relationships, build the bridges. And that is how we ended up in Puerto Rico, building a bridge with Puerto Rico and connecting because we needed that.
One thing I remember from way back when, Kareem, when we were just getting to know each other, and I invited you to come to our foundation summit that BJU Press Homeschool sponsors in Greenville. And so I think I called you and we talked. And you mentioned to me that that personal invitation was so important to you.
Yes.
And that really, that was life changing for me because to me, I'm just me. Why would an invitation from me mean anything to you? But it showed me the importance of caring enough for the other person to reach out and embrace them.
Yes.
It was a real important lesson
That is
for
so
me.
important. It's so special when you say, "Hey, everybody's welcome," but then somebody comes and Zan Tyler say, "Karim, I want you to come." I was like, "Oh my goodness," because if I receive the general message, I will say no. I don't want to come. But if you come to me and say, "Karim, I really would like you to be part of this," and not only for you to get to know who BAU is, well, you guys are doing amazing things there, um, but also to say, "We also want to get to know you." I think a relationship is two ways, and it's so important when we are building something where the relationship is not only one way, but then it's the two working together. So I appreciate that what you did.
Oh, well, I appreciate you. You are one of my dearest friends, and we have so much fun together. So, speaking of having fun together, we're getting ready to leave for Puerto Rico tomorrow morning early.
Yes, I'm so excited.
Yes. So, tell everybody listening what we'll be doing in Puerto Rico and why you think it's so important.
Oh, wow. It's so important because Puerto Rico is part of us. They are territory of the United States. And, I always, one of the things that when I started working for HSLDA, I was very curious about Puerto Rico. I wanted to know how parents were homeschooling in Puerto Rico. They speak Spanish. They also have the influence of English. I was like, how parents homeschool? Are they homeschooling in Spanish and English, bilingual? So I always have these questions, and the more questions I ask, the more I've learned. And I think that that's an important principle about when we do something. Uh, Asking questions, finding not only what is about, but what is the need. The more I spoke to leaders, the more convicted I was that we needed to go to Puerto Rico, not just, it's different when somebody tells you about something, explains you the culture, than when you go and you experience the culture. And I felt that it was important for us to go and experience the culture. And so I saw the need. Puerto Rico has gone through a lot in the last 5 to 6 years: hurricanes, earthquakes, pandemic. So it has been hard for Puerto Ricans. And so I knew that there is a huge need. And then Suzanne Nunn from FBA, she also saw a lot of Puerto Ricans coming to her conference. And so she also saw the need. So she came
Okay,
to
so
it.
so this is Suzanne Nunn, who's the president of Florida Parent Educators, and they have this 20,000 person conference every year, and they're so close to Puerto Rico, culture-wise and geographically. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
so all right, so start over and tell me about Suzanne again, what she's doing.
So Suzanne saw that she is having more Puerto Ricans coming to the conference, and
Oh, in
in sh-
Florida.
in Florida.
Wow, okay.
And she saw a need. And then, so she was talking, okay, there is a need here. Puerto Ricans need more. Leaders from Puerto Rico are asking for questions. So she came to HSLDA and say, I see a need in Puerto Rico. And then we also say, we also see a huge need in Puerto Rico. So let's do something about it. And we propose an exploratory trip to go and connect with leaders and the families in Puerto Rico.
Explain what we'll be doing in Puerto Rico, and because you have studied the culture, you have built bridges with the people, and so you've landed on two major events we'll be doing while we're there.
Yes, yes. So what we did, and this was based not on us saying like, we're going to Puerto Rico and this is the plan. No, it was the other way around. We met with leaders and we understood the need, and we decided we were going to be going to Puerto Rico to meet and connect with the leaders. We believe so much in the leaders, because the leaders, you and I know that the leaders are the one moving the movement and connecting with families. And when we talked, we saw a huge need of not just in equipping the leader and the leaders connecting with us, but we also see the need of Puerto Ricans having access to resources, educational resources. So two things: we are gonna be going there to connect with the leaders, to listen to them more, and also to share our message, to equip them also and encourage them, because they need encouragement. So when we like Andrew Pudewa is also going, when you and Andrew and Scott, also from HSLDA lawyer, is going, and Susan, when you guys are coming and going there to encourage the leaders, to equipping the leaders, there is going to be an impact, a future impact. So we're going there to plant a seed. but it's not. It's a seed that has been watered a lot through a lot of conversations, through a lot of relationships. Now, the second event that happened as a result, as we were planning the leaders meetup, um, then the leaders say, "Hey, we're having Zan Tyler, Andrew Pudewa, you, Suzanne, and Scott. Why we don't do a family gathering?" And I was like, "Okay, but this is up to you guys. I am organizing a family gathering." And guess what? You're gonna die. I just talked to them, like to one of the leaders that is helping organize this, and they already say that counting children, we already surpassed the 600.
No way.
Yes.
Oh boy, did y'all hit on a need together, as you
Yes.
said,
Yes.
talking through it together.
Yes. So we are having
600 people?
more than 600
Wow.
because that's including the kids and everybody.
Right,
and,
right.
and that tells you the need. There is a need to unify the movement. Puerto Rico has a 40-year history of homeschooling. They are not new to this, but all these natural disasters and tragedies like the pandemic has spread the movement. So this is the first time they're coming together again. They have gone through a lot. So we're gonna learn. You and I gonna be learning more about that when we go. So they are excited. We are excited to share the message of homeschooling freedom. There are so many new families now homeschooling, and a lot of the veterans they have already finished homeschooling, right? And now many of them are helping and mentoring. So there is so much going on. So I just looking forward to see us helping unify the movement and also connecting with the families and connecting with the leaders so more resources can come to them. At the end of the day, Sam, I always say as an educator, I always think at the end of the day, we are helping parents, but the ones that we are really impacting are the children because the ones that are
Amen.
going to benefit from all of these are the children.
One thing, so when we had our Hispanic Leaders Summit at BJU Press Homeschool in Greenville, one of the things I think that melted my heart, Kareem, is when we had two of our one full-time employee with the press, but also one of our consultants got together and did one of the workshops in Spanish. And those women, they were all bilingual. Their English was superb. But when they heard that workshop start in Spanish, there were tears in that audience. When they got to express themselves in their native tongue, it was so moving to me. And to me, that's another reason for us to go there in their environment where they live, and especially for me to learn them, not being Hispanic. And my struggles with the Spanish language. I've tried.
I promise, Sam, I will be there to help you.
Okay, good. And Kareem and I are about the same height. We see eye to eye, our little 5-foot selves. And
And we
so
both have an accent.
yes, we do both have an accent. I was in Chicago not too long ago, and one of the women asked me, she said, "Does everybody in South Carolina talk like you, or is it just you?" And I said, "I'm fairly certain it's most of us."
Well, I love it because you speak slow, and I need you to speak slow.
Well, I am so delighted to go. Oh, one thing about the resources, because you were talking about, is the children who benefit, the parents we support, and then they are teaching their children. One of the things I learned is that they want an English-speaking curriculum for their children, but they need the teachers' helps in Spanish
Yes.
so that they can work with it. So
And this is something that BAU understood from the beginning because part of what I do also is talk to leaders, talk to businesses and organizations to understand what are the needs and how can, curriculums like BAU can provide for solutions, but also solutions that are effective, because for parents, understanding in Spanish what their kids are learning in English is crucial. So the parents can be part of the learning dynamic, right?
Yeah, that's
And I'm
right.
so glad you understood that from the beginning. Um, and when you so going to Puerto Rico, as you know, we they are part of us. The children speak English. They speak Spanish. They're being taught in Spanish, but also at the same time, they are learning English, because when they learn English, the young people position themselves to get a better future. And that is so important. And I saw that in my country and other countries, people in Latin America are trying to learn English because they know that when they learn a second language, they position themselves for a better future. And so parents need curriculum in English, but also they need the information in Spanish so they can understand why that curriculum matters and how it works.
And I think that's one of the reasons our videos have been so successful, because
Yes.
we have video teachers who do courses. I mean, almost every subject we have has a corresponding video course, and it's done for the student. It's not a video of a classroom. It's done for the student. They're usually 15 to 20-minute segments, and the students are hearing a native speaker speak English. And so the more they listen, the more they learn. I mean, Joe has worked with so many international people in his software job when he was in the corporate world. And so many of them learned English from watching television.
Exactly.
And so this is such a healthier way to learn English, by being exposed through, through good content
Yes, because
for them to learn.
so one thing is the teaching, but another thing is also what call the methodology. Kids need to learn how to do something, and sometimes, if teachers are not good teachers, you can
Right.
have bad teachers,
Yeah, that's
and
right.
that affects the dynamic of learning. So I so appreciate when I went and visit throughout the summit and visit the place where everything happens, the magic happens. It was you could see not only the books or the videos, you could see also the heart behind that. And it doesn't matter how technological we are, even AI, we always are going to need a human that cares, that we feel that we can connect behind the screen. And yes, BU does an excellent job doing those teachings.
So Kareem is referring to the fact that when we have people on our campus at BJU Press Homeschool, we will often take them for tours of the facilities where the books are printed, the art department, the editors, the writing staff, and you really do get to see the heart of the people who are creating the curriculum. It's really something amazing.
It is amazing.
So they've been in business for 50 years, and you know their curriculum is excellent academically, and also just from a biblical worldview, so strong and robust. So I'm so thankful for my work at BJU Press, and I always want to take a minute just to thank them for sponsoring our homeschool podcast. We're so appreciative, and it gives me an opportunity to share you with all my friends who watch the podcast.
Oh, thank
Kareem.
you. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward, and we're gonna have to have a part two to tell them how it went.
Yes, we'll do that. That'll be so much fun.
But it has to be like we're gonna tell them not just how it went with the leaders and the families. We're gonna tell them how your Spanish went.
How I finally got over my what's the word? My hesitation to speak a single syllable in Spanish in front of other people. So I'll just rehash this quickly. In high school, I took Spanish 5. It was a new course. And so I was a senior. I'd had 4 years of Spanish, and there were only native Puerto Rican speakers in my class. And so it was like 8 of them and me. And I studied. I was a studier. So I was making A's on the test, which drove them crazy because they knew the language and I didn't. So every time they would call on Senorita Susanna, I would answer, and they would die laughing. I mean, Puerto Ricans have so much personality. One of my best friends in the state is Puerto Rican, and they would be rolling in the aisles laughing at me. It was their one chance
Oh,
to get back at
oh,
this non-native speaker for making an A in their language.
don't worry. You're gonna heal. You're gonna heal through that.
I'm gonna heal. Okay. Well, I am looking forward to that then, because that is definitely a source of discomfort for me. So as long as you're with me and you're helping
Yes.
me, I think I can handle it.
And also, we're gonna have interpreters. We have young people that are gonna be serving alongside,
Oh, that's
and
amazing.
it's gonna be amazing. I am so looking forward because I know what we're doing, Sam, is also gonna have an impact in Latin America. When we help Puerto Rico, we help other countries. So it's gonna be a domino effect.
That really is the thing about having an opportunity to serve other people. I mean, truly, you get more out of it than anybody. It is more blessed to give than it is to receive. But in God's economy, it does have that ripple effect where you help one person who helps another person who helps another person. And I believe that's one of the reasons we're called here on earth.
Yes, and
Um,
thank you so much for allowing me to speak about this because I do think that is yes, we can go and do our Puerto Rican thing and come back, but I think that the fact that you are making your audience part of this experience, thank you so much because I do think that we here in the United States, we need to embrace the homeschooling movement, not just in here nationally, but also internationally, because many parents, there are millions of parents and families in Latin America that still don't know that education and educating the children is a parental right. They think it's a government right. So this is why I'm so passionate about spreading this message that HSLDA has, advocating for freedom of homeschooling and reminding parents this is your parental right. And many people don't know, and we know because we have a legacy here of 40 years, but many Hispanic families in Latin America don't know. So I am glad that Puerto Rico is going to be, I feel like it's just going to be the beginning of this movement that is already happening, in Latin America. I have talked to leaders from Venezuela, from Mexico, from Argentina, from Chile, from Bolivia, from Nicaragua, Salvador, Guatemala. So homeschooling is happening everywhere, but it's important for us to connect and support.
And I do want to remind us, and this is terrible that we need a reminder as American citizens, but Puerto Ricans are American citizens. And so this is just it's a wonderful outreach opportunity just to go serve our brothers and sisters who have had some really awful circumstances since 2020. I just know this from my friend Bonnie, who is Puerto Rican, how much the Puerto Rican people have suffered. Just the infrastructure on the island, it's been formidable.
And also, I think it's saying that they are hungry. The fact that we are doing something and everybody wants to be part of it in the island is amazing to me.
It
More
is
than 600
really
people.
amazing.
That just
Yes,
tells you
yes.
that they are hungry and they want to connect. And just what a privilege you and I have to be a vehicle of blessing and support. If I am very humble to be part of this.
Me too. Joe and I just got back from North Dakota, where I spoke 9 times. That was a new record. You can hear it in my voice a little bit, but it's just really been my goal ever since the days of when I was threatened with jail for homeschooling and walked through that 8-year journey of trying to get good laws passed, legislative and legally. It's really my goal to give parents the resources I would have died to have as a
Wow.
new homeschooling mom and didn't. And so this is, you're just you're just helping me fulfill my dream,
Oh my
Karim,
God.
by taking me with you. So thank you so much.
You have such a testimony. Listen, God knows who he chooses, because if I would have been like, you're going to jail, I will be like, forget homeschooling. I'm not going to jail. But listen, because so I see what you have done, and it is admiring. When I tell people, I remember when I was talking about you to the leaders, they didn't know about you. But when I say to them, this is what Sam has gone through, and they knew that, oh my goodness, she was threatened to go to jail, and she stood firm about homeschooling. It just opened their eyes. It's like this homeschooling freedom is something that we need to protect and defend. So we need your voice more, and your testimony more than ever.
Well, thank you. And thank you, Kareem, so much for being with me today on the podcast. It's just such a great delight. And I love you so much. And I'm so grateful for your ministry in the States and around the world.
Thank you for having me, Zan.
Hey, if people want to get in touch with you, how can they find you?
Well, they can visit HSLDA, and if when you go to HSLDA Espanol, we have an international page where we have information about every country. We also have a Spanish website, and we also have Spanish resources, educational resources for families that are looking for guidance. So make sure that they stop by HSLDA and see everything that we have to offer.
Okay, so on your not normal website, but on your main website, you have all of that available in Spanish.
And Spanish.
Okay.
And
And
if,
there'll be
and if they want, if any is a Hispanic parent that prefer to talk to us in Spanish, we also have someone that speaks Spanish to help you and guide you.
and that is so important. I just want to say this. Joe and I founded a state organization in South Carolina, the South Carolina Association of Independent Homeschools, which we call SCAIS. We have had a Spanish-speaking consultant on our staff for probably the last 15 years, because we do have quite a Hispanic community in South Carolina.
Well,
And so you might want to look into your states. I know the Virginia organization has that, but you'll find that we really have a heart to reach out to you and help. So there are a number of ways you can find that, but HSLDA has really spearheaded that and encouraged us all to be a lot more outward looking in our attitudes.
thank you so much.
So thank you, Karim. And thank you for being here with us today on the podcast. We know you have a lot of things you could do with your time besides listening to us. So I know that Karim has been an especial blessing to you. And we need to remember to pray for our brothers and sisters around the world. You can find me on social media and at zantyler.com. And may God continue to bless you.
Thank you. Gracias. Hasta luego.
Hasta luego.